Hello, and welcome. Welcome to Happy Time, Happy Money podcast. And I'm your host, Viktoriia Miracle. Today, we have Ella Safri. And Ella is from far away from Brunei. If you don't know, that's next to Malaysia, like super far. It's 7 a.m. for her, and it's 3 p.m. for me. And we're here. And she is a 30-year-old engineer striving for financial independence. She teaches women financially literacy, and her goal is to help others learn how to manage their money and invest in order to build wealth and reach financial independence. I love that vision. Welcome, Ella.
Hi, Viktoriia. Good morning, or good afternoon for you.
Yeah, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, no matter where you're listening or watching. Yeah. By the way, you can watch this episode on YouTube as well as the same when listening to the iTunes. I just got a feedback that people doesn't know that there is a video version. So yeah, you actually can see us.
Yeah.
All right. Well, tell us more. I would love to learn more about you. We chat a little bit, but I would love to know the whole story of like how did you start it and what inspired you to do what you are doing?
I think it went back to when I was 25. I was already thinking about the future. I was like, okay, how can I prepare myself and set myself up well for retirement? What can I do with money? How can I maximize my money, as I'm earning them? So, because back then I only knew about saving, everyone told us, save your money. I just never really heard about investing. I didn't know what it was. So I started reading up about it, watching videos about it. And then I was just like, wow. So is this really how investing works? You just put your money to work in a stock, in a real estate, in a ETF or mutual fund, and it will grow at a certain rate every year. It's essentially you're letting your money work for you. But the thing is, back then when I was 25, I didn't know that we had the option here in Brunei. So I didn't invest yet. I saved, but I didn't invest. And I only realized that I could invest when I was 28. And that's when I started actually investing and, making my money work for me and doing all the financial planning to make sure that I'm set up for the future. So part of the reason why I set it up my budget culture earlier this year, I think I created it in mid-February, something like that, was because I was talking about it with friends. And it was just amazing because, a few of us know about it, but even then, some of us know about saving, some of us know about investing, but none of us really knew about, being able to reach financial independence, that retirement essentially is a number, until I came across this FIRE movement from the book, Your Money or Your Life, or even from Instagram, Our Rich Journey. Those were the people that I followed and, learned from. And not a lot of people know about this, just generally how to let your money work for you. So I thought, why not create a platform? And that's where I can kind of like help influence people to, start being good with their money, start investing their money, start thinking about retirement, start thinking about reaching financial freedom. That's why I started.
That is awesome. That is so beautiful. And, a lot of people think when they're starting in financial industry that they need to have like financial education or not. Like, do you have a financial education? Like, what is it? Like, what is your background?
Yeah, so actually my background, I studied chemical engineering during my university years. So that was my bachelor's. And then I thought to myself, I was like, is this something that I want to keep to as a career? Or shall I think of branching out into like the finance industry? I wasn't sure back at that point. So I decided to pick up a master's in engineering with finance. So finance was my minor, but the thing is, the finance that I studied was more, I guess, corporate finance. It wasn't really personal finance in the sense of, investing your money in retirement and all that. So essentially I didn't really have a finance or specific finance background, as you could say, but I learned most of what I know now from all the books that I've read. Like, there's so many books out there, and then there's so many YouTube videos or Instagram where people share their journeys, share their knowledge. And there are courses out there as well that you can sign up to and join. And that's how I learned it. And I'm still right now learning that. Like, I love it so much that I've decided to pick up the qualification, the CFP, the Certified Financial Planner Education, a course, sorry. So that's what I'm studying right now. And I'll be sitting the exam soon in December, actually. Well, one of the exams.
That's awesome. I know you started from the budgeting culture, and your name it's my budgeting culture.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I know you already shared a little bit of part of the story, but I would want you to go again and share that story, like that. I guess it just shows that you can, shift and pivot and do whatever it is, but still be in alignment of where you started.
Yeah. So my IG handle and I guess my brand, as you call it, I started with my budget culture because I thought, everything starts off from the basics. If you want to build with it, if you want to save more, if you want to start to invest, you need to understand first if you have enough money, or how can you save more? How can you invest more? And for me, it's all about budgeting. You start off with a budget to see where you can spend your money on the things that you value and everything, but where you can optimize. Because I feel like if you don't have a goal, if you don't have a plan, then how would you know where you're going to? So, like, for example, if we're driving and we don't know where we're going to, we use a map. So having a budget is essentially the map to reaching financial freedom. That's what I believe in. And that's how I personally kind of like started on my journey as well. I mean, I always budgeted, but until I really had a goal, until I really had a plan, then I'm like, okay, this is how much I need to save. Or, oh my gosh, like all these small expenses are actually adding up. You just don't realize how much $5, $10 do add up to. And that's essentially like an insight that it can give you by having a budget. You see the categories on, where you're spending the most, where you're wasting essentially, if that's not really the things that you value. And that's where you can optimize. So that's where you can also maximize the money that you're earning, So that's how I first started. And I thought, as I grew along my journey, I'm now focused a lot, especially in investing, because investing to me is the way that we can build wealth, the way that we can close that gender gap, inequality, the way that everyone can reach financial freedom. It doesn't really matter what you invest in, but as long as you invest, investing in the stock market, investing in real estate, some invest in crypto. There's so many types of investment, or investing in a business as well, essentially, because businesses later on can give you cash flow, can grow. So despite my name, I still kept that handle, my budget culture, because I feel like it still fits in with everything. That's still the basics, but I talk more now on generally money and investing. I do go into budgeting here and there as well still.
So what is your portfolio look like right now? When did you start investing?
I started investing when I was 28. So that was 2.5 or so years ago. And right now my portfolio is, I think, about 88% in the stock market.
So
and then
most of it is in the stock market.
Yes, the bulk of it is in the stock market. Yeah.
And I know we chatted a little bit. So you also invested a little in crypto, and where I actually want to go is that I know many people, they're trying to say, I'm not in crypto, I don't understand that, this is too crazy, this is too complicated. But it's like, how did you start it? Like, what exactly was your thought pattern, and what would you recommend to our audience, like where to go to actually shift that? Because I feel like I'm a little bit too far in crypto to remember that. I started when I was like 7 years ago, and I don't even remember. For me, it was like, I will share what it was for me. For me, it was like, I just was working for a person, and then, we were just transferring some cash and whatever, pick it up. And he had a lot of cash, and he worked with Bitcoin. And I was like, what the hell is that?
Wow. Yeah.
And the more I was transferring cash from like one office to another, I was like, I need to get into this. I'm curious, because this dude definitely knows something that I don't.
Yeah.
And so he has this crypto ATMs in New York, and that was his business. And that's where I went online, and I couldn't find that many things about it, because it wasn't still like, there was no YouTube
back
speaking
then,
about it.
exactly.
And I tried to understand blockchain, and I was like, this is way complicated. Okay, let me just buy one Bitcoin, and I will see how it works. Let me just do it, whatever. $500. Worst can happen, I lose this $500, whatever. And there was only Coinbase at that moment. There was only, I think, blockchain.com and Coinbase. And it took me 3 weeks for them to clarify my documents, to clarify the bank, the payment. It was like such a long process that I bought it and I forgot about it.
Yes. Yeah.
I wanted to invest already,
so
and I totally
Gosh.
forgot. I totally forgot about it until it reaches like 3,000 again. Until it reached 3,000 in a year or so.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I need to get back to whatever was it again. So for me, that was just a curiosity of like unknown, but also at the same time, I know that there was the money, but I had no idea what was it. So what it was for you, because I know that like now there's so much information, and I cannot give an excuse for a person saying it, oh, I don't understand. No, just Google it. Like there's so much out there.
Exactly.
And so simple, very actually simple. Yeah. So tell me your story. How did you get it?
For me, I started with, I actually can't remember how I started with crypto. I think I like to, well, I didn't really find it in my books. I like to watch YouTube videos. So I follow quite a few of the big influencers on YouTube. And I think that's probably where I started hearing about it. I mean, I heard about it probably a year before I started investing in crypto, but I never really thought about it. I always thought, oh, I didn't understand this technology. Oh, what do you mean creating coins out of thin air? How does that make sense? How does that hold money? So I never really, learned about it. I was never really interested. I thought, oh, it's just a scam. It's just this meme thing or something, But then as I think I started watching more YouTube videos at the beginning of this year, because there are a lot out there. There's a lot of information out there. Like you said, you can just Google it and there's so many. And then I just started learning about it. People were actually explaining how the blockchain works, or you start seeing the white papers that they talk about as well. So it started all from YouTube videos. And then I got more into it by, okay, that's what they're saying. That's what they're explaining. It made sense. It sounded like a good thing to jump on. But I started reading some of the white papers as well for some of the ones that I invest in. And I was like, this makes sense. But at the same time, it was just like I'm a high risk as well, profile type. So I don't mind, like you say, just throw in a couple of hundred. If I lose it, so what? It's something that I can stand to lose. It's something that I can afford. So I started off a little bit as well. Like I started off with a few hundred, and then, you start seeing how they work, just like the stock market, it goes up, it goes down. Although with crypto, it's definitely more volatile. So, you just start seeing how it works, how it's traded. And then over time, I'm like, I started adding in more money. And then I started adding in more and more. And it just, over time, it's like, I just became more convinced, especially with certain projects. I feel like, you know what, this is something that we could potentially be moving into for the future. So why not? Why not try it? And for me, I'm the type that doesn't like to be left behind. So I thought, you know what? If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I'm just going to be on the train either way.
Great. And I
So
think it's a great mindset to understand that, okay, if that's where the world is going, either you're on the boat, you're off, you're on the train, or you're off the train, and you're either catching up, and even by little, not trying to understand everything, but it's just getting on it, so that when there is a time, you get to learn a little bit more, and you get to learn a little bit more. And I love that you said that you started from white paper. So for those who doesn't know, white paper, it's like something that the company writes, and that's their vision. It's like a roadmap that you follow.
Yes.
So if, yeah, I highly recommend always starts from white paper of the project if you investing, in anything. It's like a vision for big companies. You understand like what they're providing, what is it you're buying from them.
Yeah, essentially it's like a business plan.
Yeah, it's like a business plan, and
a roadmap, like you said. Yeah.
yes, and there's so many coins that you need to have like millions of hours to read all the white papers. The most important part is to choose something that has technology and the utility and the use of it. And most likely, yeah, the crypto industry is like exploding. So
It literally is.
yeah. So what you would share was your like top 3 mistakes when you start investing?
Okay, so the top 3 mistakes that I did was back then, I didn't understand that, investing can be as easy or as hard as you make it. So I started doing some like day trading, swing trading. Not a big day trading fan, I would say. So I think I did swing trading. Like I also followed some of the hyped, maybe not the meme ones back then, but more those that had momentum. I was like, oh, this is going up, so let me jump on it, and then let's see if I can come back off at a profit in, I don't know, a few weeks or so. So I feel like you needed to be, I don't know, like you need to keep up with the markets. You need to be aware of what's going on, the news, the financials. So it was a lot of work. So I feel like, I made some money, but I lost some money as well. So for me now, like the more that I know, I'm definitely leaning towards like the long-term investing style. Like if you want to swing trade, that's for you. But for me, I thought that was a mistake on my part. I should have just bought good companies or stock and just hold it, long term. So trading, I guess you could say, one. The other mistake that I made was trying to time the market. Like part of that swing trading that I did back then, you're always trying to time, okay, where's the low, where's the high? But the thing is, it's very hard to time, you know, like unless you're on your computer so much and you understand technical analysis, the ins and outs of it and the trading, it's not going to be easy for you to do. I mean, even experienced Wall Street guys who trade, I think statistics show that 90% of traders lose their money. So only the 10% get lucky.
I think it was 95 that
So
lose.
95. Yeah, there you go. So
it's like such a little that win that you're trading.
Exactly. It just didn't make sense. And then I thought, you know what, this is just too much work. And timing the market, why time the market when I can just invest regularly and dollar cost average over time? So I can buy at the highs, I can buy at the lows. It doesn't matter. Long term, you will win either way. So that's number 2. The other one, I think I mentioned it as well earlier, but it's essentially having this FOMO where, oh, people are talking about buying into the stock. People, you see the momentum of it going up. Let's jump on it as well. And then later on, you kind of like burn and crash.
It's like Shiba. Have you ever heard about crypto Shiba?
Yes, Shiba for
it's like everybody's buying it, and that's not a good time to buy.
No, exactly. So I think those 3 were my main mistakes. But I think for me, I quickly learned it. I think I made those mistakes, I think, for the first, let's say, half a year. And then after that, I was just like, okay, this is too much effort. This is too much. Like I have better uses for my time rather than, being on my phone, checking the markets all the time, reading the news of what's happening. I mean, I still do that, but it's not to the point of me being stuck to the computer, me being stuck to my phone all the time. I just check it here and there to see what's happening with the market.
That's a great mistakes. And I think unless you are very technical, like you said, in tech analysis, it's a work. If you're a trader, like it's a constant work. You have to stay up on all news. And I will say women are not made for it. If you have, guys, if you're listening, we all adults, if you have your time, your moon time, it's like you better not to watch on that market because then it goes down. You're like, oh, Well, I've done that, so I
Exactly.
know.
Yeah. Yeah,
After that,
exactly. So I
after that,
just
I learned
realized
the canales,
it's
and
not
I'm
for me.
like, okay, here we go. And there's like 20 things that you can analyze, and
Yeah.
just looking at the price, it literally
Yeah.
makes no sense.
Exactly.
So what would be your number one advice for everybody that is listening right now? For everybody to like how to move from budgeting to like investing freely, I would say.
I think so long as you have all the basics in place, like, first create that budget. The budget doesn't have the thing with budgets, people think of it as something so restrictive, so boring. But if you switch that mindset to, your budget is your money plan, your budget is your money management plan. That sounds a bit more interesting. It's like, how can I manage my money well? It could be as generous as you want. It could be as restrictive as you want. You create your own money management plan or budget. It's up to you, not someone else. So you spend it or save it or invest it according to your preference. So for me, it's before you start to, let's say you're a basic beginner and you're just starting out, it's normal for the first few months, especially, or even the first year, that you sometimes go over budget, and that's fine. It's because you haven't been tracking your expenses. You don't know on average what's coming in and out during the year, because some months you'll spend less on it, some months you'll spend more. So you just start having like a rough budget, and then you start to track it, and then you adjust it on a monthly basis until you find that sweet spot that you're like, this is on average what I spend on this. Or you can even create sinking funds, which is essentially a savings fund for certain things like travel, like gifts. Because gifts don't come monthly. Gifts sometimes in a month you can even have plenty of birthdays or occasions, so it's more expensive in terms of gifts. So it really depends. So have that budget, create the sinking funds, and essentially make sure that you build up an emergency fund. So in general, it's 3 to 6 months expenses. However, it could go up to a year expenses, 2 years, depending on your situation. If you're self-employed, if you're a business owner and your income monthly is varied, you don't have a stable income. So really, or if you're a family man or woman and you have kids. So it really depends on your own preference on how much cash buffer that you need to keep. So that's having the emergency fund. And then once you have all those like basics, I guess you could say, you can start learning generally how investing works, the basics of it, how the market works, what is a stock, what is an ETF, what is a mutual fund, and decide how are you as a person, what is your risk tolerance, what is your risk profile, and start investing from there. Once you understand the basics, just put in, I don't know, depending on where you live and what's the minimum to invest, you can put in as low as $20 a week, $20 a month. Start off slow, and then build it up and start investing consistently. So you just need to understand that if you invest in good companies and good stocks, you're good to go, hold for the long term. Or let's say you don't want to have to do so much research on the companies and their financials. Look at index funds. It's essentially a basket of stocks, like the S&P 500, the top 500 companies in the US. You can't really go wrong with that, So I think for beginners especially, look at index funds.
That's a beautiful advice.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Ella. And where would you like our audience can reach you out or find you?
So right now I've got a few platforms, but my main one is on Instagram. So my handle is My Budget Culture. So
Beautiful.
My Budget Culture. I have TikTok and Twitter as well, but I would say my main platform is Instagram. So
Yeah,
that's
your
where you can
Instagram looks
reach
amazing.
me.
And that's how I
Thank you.
found her. I was like, I like this girl.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
and I think, what you shared is just like those fundamentals that,
Yeah.
we're moving in this podcast to more of like investing in crypto. I mean,
Yep.
because I believe you get to, and investing, it is a way to earn your time and money,
Yes.
right? And the life is
Exactly.
only we only have those two things. Either that we're spending our time with what we're doing to do, like a family or traveling or whatever, or we earning money. There's no other way, and it have to be like you get to have that time happy. Like you get to spend your time happily. You get to earn happy money. You cannot, suffer on work forever.
Yeah.
And I think it's a beautiful starter kit for that. So thank you for coming on and waking up so early for you and coming on, sharing your wisdom.
Thanks so much, Viktoriia, for having me.
And if you're watching this on YouTube, under Viktoriia Miracle channel, totally, please do give us, shout out or like or whatever, and subscribe, rate, review if you like it, this podcast, and if you love it and have any feedback, totally send that to me or Ella. She would love to hear it, I'm sure. And I'll see you on the next week in the next episode.
Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.